I've been a volunteer since 2002 here in Colorado, and I volunteer generally once a week. I'm retired, so if there's someone that's on vacation or has another commitment, I may fill in and do it twice a week. Generally not more than twice a week. I volunteer here. Actually, it was a sort of a default thing, but a good default thing. We had a Mended Hearts chapter in Longmont, and they started volunteering here, and shortly thereafter, within months, they disbanded the chapter. And Good Samaritan Hospital is Exemplar Hospital, as is Lutheran Hospital and St. Joe's Hospital. And I felt it very important that we maintain a trilogy of the three hospitals rather than just visiting two of the three systems hospitals. So I come up here and volunteer. I started volunteering. It's kind of a strange go around. I had an open heart surgery in 2000. I was visited by a Mended Hearts visitor, but I threw him out of the room because I was still pretty groggy and didn't want to talk to anybody. About 5 weeks later, I started reading the material he gave me, and gee, that was a pretty nice thing that man did. Take time out to come visit me. So I guess I'd have to say I visit out of appreciation for other people visiting me, or a sense of duty, a sense of commitment, and I guess a sense of giving back to others what I received. That's what brings me out of bed into the hospital once a week. Yeah, my medical situations, I had an aortic valve replacement. And it was a congenital thing, meaning it was a birth defect that finally caught up to me when I was 48 years old. And the symptoms were really just the lack of energy. You know, I thought everybody took 2 separate days to cut their lawn, one day in the front lawn and 2 days later to do the back lawn when they get the energy back. And I was hospitalized for something entirely different. And they said, why don't you spend another day or two here while we look at your heart? And about 5 months later, I had open heart surgery. And I'm pretty good. Our family, I should say, is a pretty good source of revenue for the heart world. My 2 younger sisters have since had the same surgery I had, and I have a younger brother that tells me he's auditioning for aortic valve replacement. It just runs in the family. That's all. Yeah, I have a little bit of everything. I'm type 2 diabetic, so that's something to keep my eye on. And I've since learned, since I've developed diabetes, that about 80% of the diabetics die not from diabetes, but some issue of the heart. So it's kind of nice to have this knowledge. I won't say it's kind of nice to be diabetic, but when I'm visiting a patient and if the subject of diabetes comes up, then I can tie diabetes and its relation to the heart together because I know about it and I experience it every day. In prostate cancer, half the old men have prostate cancer, so it just comes with the turf. But I'm no stranger to hospitals. My favorite part of volunteering is, without a doubt, leaving a patient's room and having the patient smile or laugh. I think that humor is so important. And having been a patient for the heart and other issues that I just said, sitting in a hospital room for 3 or 4 days is a very lonely existence. You lost your independence. You're lost to do what you want to do when you want to do it. You're maybe fearful of what brought you to the hospital. Nursing staffs and professional staffs are wonderful, but they don't have time to sit in a room and schmooze with you. So I can bring a smile to someone's face, a heart patient's face. And if it's appropriate, because sometimes if somebody's so banged up, the laughs they hurt, so we don't want to make them laugh. But I think bringing humor to a patient is just a valuable gift to give to a patient. Oh, it makes me feel good. There are days I don't want to get out of bed and come to the hospital, but there's not a day I leave the hospital and I don't leave with a smile on my face. I don't leave with turn the key in the car in the parking lot. I don't leave with gratitude. I don't leave the hospital parking lot without remembering what it was like 9 years ago. I don't leave the parking lot without remembering in some small way how my life has changed in 9 years, how I view my heart issues 9 years later. And I'm so grateful to be able to visit. It's just a cool thing to do. But there's so much that I learned from heart patients, and more than I have helped them, I think. They've taught me to be tolerant. They've taught me that my agenda is not always the right or best agenda. And they've taught me to be kind. The patience that some women patients have is just unbelievable. I am the worst hospital patient in the world. I am just absolutely a horrible patient. I dread going to the hospital again because I know I'm going to be impatient. I'm going to have to work on it. I want it now, and I want it the way I want it. That's not a really good way to approach the staff. Being a nurse is a or a medical professional is a very difficult job. They work 12-hour shifts. They have families, they have children, they have husbands, they have work schedules. I am familiar with this. My youngest son is a fireman, and his wife is a nurse. And one works 24-hour shifts, and the other works 12-hour shifts. So just to get to work sometimes for medical staff is a job. And then to have to contend with me 24/7 is just not fair to what they are trying to do, and that is to get me well and get me out of here. So those are some of the things I've learned. I've had funny visits. The most memorable one was I asked the gentleman not too long ago, what brought you to the hospital? And he, what was his medical condition? And he told me a taxi cab. I learned not to say that anymore. And I'm just one of many. Here in Colorado, we have, I think the last count was we had 47 visitors. We visited 13 different hospitals in Colorado. Good Samaritan Hospital in Lafayette being the best, wow. And we've made well over 4,900 patient visits in the year 2008. Now, any one visit may sound insignificant, but when you take over 4,900 patient visits, I think we've added value to the patient stay in these 13 hospitals. I think we really have a meaningful program, and all our visitors enjoy it, or we wouldn't do it. If you're a patient, you'll get information that several different ways or means of contacting us. You can phone the American Heart Association here in Denver. We have email address. We have an 800 number. We have a national website, mendedhearts.org. You go up on our Mended Hearts website, and there's a site map for the country, and you can find out where we're located in any state in the union, for that matter. But most of our contacts to volunteer, or most of the people that indicate they'd like to volunteer, are pretty much comes from the heart patient population, and not immediately after their procedure. Maybe, as in my case, I didn't join for 5 months after I was operated on. I didn't read the material for probably a month after I got out of the hospital. So it takes time to go from the process of being a victim to the process of being a survivor. or another way of putting it, we heart patients are takers and we're givers. And we have, soon after we have our procedure, we're best being takers, meaning to take advantage of everything the medical profession is offering us to improve our quality of life. Now, once we understand that, then we're in the psychological position of being givers. That's the time to start visiting, not before. And everybody is different, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. In my case, I didn't start visiting for about 2 years after a year and a half after I had surgery. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.